Hey everyone, it's Andrea Caprio here. I would love to share a little bit of my experience I've gone through since the beginning of this coronavirus COVID-19 crisis or pandemic. As some of you know, I have been in Italy. I actually moved just before the onset of this crisis to Italy. So I've been faced really over a couple of weeks before many others who are listening here with everything what goes around, how to minimize the risk of infection, how to boost the immune system, obviously also how to live, difficult times in quarantine, in confinement, and all these things around. And as a master certified transformational nutrition coach and weight loss and emotional eating expert, I want here to share with you my experience. Now, I thought of sharing actually my group coaching video. I have done last week a group coaching session with my clients, and I prepared a special for them around the coronavirus, COVID-19. So I really prepared all the resources I have, the things I've experienced, the things I use, things I've learned from top healthcare professionals. And I cut out actually everybody from the video to protect their privacy. So you see actually how my group coaching goes, though this was a very special session. I really made it a lot around education. Normally, it's a little bit more interactive. So I'm going to share this with you because I really put everything in I know at the moment. Just keep in mind things change. So, we are learning about this new virus, how it goes. So I put that together for you and you will see it just now. And it's a little bit longer, but lots of information. And I also put together a guide. The link will be here, just check under or on the side, depending which device you're using. I put together a guide helping you again, how to boost your immune system, how to avoid the risk, not avoid, but minimize, you cannot avoid, minimize the risk to get infected, and also how to minimize the severity of infection. Because let's face it, we all are at risk, and by a stronger immune system, you will always minimize the risk of the severity of it. And I also will share with you lots of resources like supplements, healthy eating tips, lifestyle tips. And especially, I'm very concerned about what's going to go on after. Many countries, and of course, we all should practice whatever you want to call it, quarantine, self-confinement, or whatever. But we should keep social distancing for the time it's needed. We don't know how long that will be. It depends on which country you are, which level, and so on. In Italy, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, after many weeks of this, it looks better, but it's not so sure yet. We can only see all this once it's over. So I share a lot of tips on how to emotionally and physically cope better with this difficult situation. We are under extreme stress. Suddenly, it might be economic hardship. Some lose their job. Obviously, some have relatives or friends who are sick, who might even die. And, there's a lot coming on us. So, as a weight loss and emotional eating expert, I'm really trying to help people to overcome this. And I see in these special times, this will be the next crisis. I predict there will be an obesity or further obesity crisis, as it is already. There will be a lot of mental health issues around, and probably a lot of other issues we don't know yet. Around not being able to socialize normally. I mean, to be honest, I'm in Germany at the moment, far away from my husband and my two cats. I'm in Germany. My mom is in hospital. I even cannot see her. She's in critical condition. I'm not allowed to see her. So, there are things around that we all will be faced, and it's difficult. Let's face it, it's not easy. So I've shared some resources with you. I'm here for help as well. I really try to support my community a little bit more. And I'm also trying, of course, to support my clients as much as I can. I've put a lot of extra sessions with them if they need. Some have more issues, some less. So I'm there for them and I'm there for you. So if you need help, if you want to, if you have emotional health issues, or, you want really to make sure, right at the onset or even during, you're eating healthier, you follow the best lifestyle and so on, please reach out to me. I'm here for you. Okay. Please be safe, take it serious, keep your distance, stay at home. Okay. It's really what I can say. I've been now in confinement almost all the time, very few exceptions. Obviously, when I had to travel, very few tours to the shop. When I came from Italy to Germany, I put myself into complete self-confinement just to protect others and myself. So please stay at home, keep yourself safe, keep others safe. That's what I can say. For the rest, see my video, see everything you want, and the guidebook, of course, and I'm here for support. Thank you so much, and all the best for you and your family. Take care, and remember, we are getting over this. You will get out of it, and there's always a silver lining on it. So maybe it's a time to look for that as well, right? There is hope. Take care. So what I want to share, first of all, as I mentioned a little bit, how the situation is here in Europe, specifically in Italy, and also a little bit the comparison from Italy to Germany. There are 2 weeks here based, and that's all, obviously, I have to say that as a disclaimer, it's all based on my experience, right? I've consulted with a lot of top healthcare professionals, and obviously I'm in it, but I'm not a doctor. So these are based on my experience or what I read from really serious people. So, what I see here in Italy, in Europe, based on who is at risk as well. What I have been doing, or what I recommend and read about to minimize the risk of infection. How I prepare kind of for it as well, I want to share. And by the way, I have only one roll of toilet paper at the moment. And I'm not panicking. But I do need to get it. But I'm at my mom's place, and she didn't buy it. When I was here buying, there was none. What I want to share a lot, how I've been boosting my immune system, and what I would recommend. I will go a little bit into testing as well, or what you do when you think that you're affected, or what I recommend, or what I'm doing, what I'm reading, what it is as well, because at the moment it's really about delaying the crisis. So we don't want to run to our doctor immediately necessarily, because that's not necessarily the best we should be doing at this time. My experience, and there I come definitely in as an emotional eating and weight loss coach and expert, is being in confinement. There are a lot of issues we're going to be faced with. And that's one thing I predict is after that crisis, we're going to have an obesity crisis and an emotional health crisis, because all these people gonna be more or less in confinement, or not being able to go out, or lose their job, or whatever it is. I mean, there's so many things we're going to be faced with. There are obviously a lot of issues happening after, right? We will find ourselves suddenly in confinement with our husbands. Some people may not, be used to be around their husbands that much, or whatever it is, there's so many, or the kids, or whatever it is. So there's so many things that are going to happen there. So I want, also think a little bit in advance, what might be the longer impacts. All right, if you have any questions around that, please keep them, write them down or something, even if you want to put them in the chat or so, and we're going to go into that after, okay? And if you can put yourself on mute or so, as I said, that would be really great, so I can have it also as a recording. So what I've seen here in Italy, I arrived from Portugal in Italy. We moved to Italy, for those who don't know. So I arrived at the beginning of it, and suddenly, it looked all fine, and suddenly it exploded. And that's what's probably going to happen also in the States. It's like a slow onset, and then eventually it gets to a state that at the moment in many countries, it's every 3 days it doubles, okay? And to give you an idea, in Italy, we had yesterday 475 people died yesterday of the coronavirus. Okay, so it is getting absolutely serious, and obviously in other countries there are numbers going up, and I will not all share them. You can read them online. But what I want to say here is, when I arrived in Italy, I was at the stage where many at the moment are, oh yeah, no, but it's fake news, or it's just another flu, or whatever it is. And I fully respect anybody's stage where they are. And that's why I do, like kind of educating. It is really serious. So I really, really recommend you to take it serious and follow strict protocol, and probably more, because unfortunately in America, depending which states you are in, things are not taken serious enough at the moment, in my opinion. And I want you all safe. So confinement, so call it quarantine or staying at home, working from home, as much as possibly you can, I would recommend that. Okay, so if you have the possibility to work from home, I would say do it. Okay, be very careful when you go out. Remember, and I will not go again, too much into details, but it's not only, you probably have done your reading, the transmission, how it's done, it's usually through the droplets. So when somebody coughs or sneezes or so, and that person obviously is infected, and they get somehow into your respiratory system by either somebody coughs at you, for example, or when you touch a surface where somebody touched the surface, which if they have touched their nose before and they have it. So there are several ways of getting it. The issue is that the time between when you get it and when you're infected and the symptoms is relatively long. So a lot of people might have it and pass it on to you without knowing. And by the way, you might pass it on as well. And that's the danger of it. And that's why it's spreading so quickly, okay? Or it's spreading so much rather, okay? And then also the symptoms are a little bit stronger than with a flu, and the death rate or the serious being in a serious condition is higher than with a flu, right? The issue is that the onset is so strong, and the problem is, and that I've seen in Italy, the problem is that medical systems cannot cope with that. I don't know how much you're watching the news, and by the way, I recommend not to watch news because that's rather depressing. But obviously, knowing what's going on and so on is important. But in Italy, they cannot cope with the amount of people who need who need care, who are in intensive care, like really intensive care. They don't have enough respiratory machines, they don't have enough beds, and so on and so on. And what is happening now in Italy, and that might probably shock you, is there's happening something that's called triage. I don't know if you know what triage is, but basically it is where you favor the younger and healthier, and not necessarily the older who are there, and because you have to favor somehow, and that's where the medical system is at the moment in Italy and in some other countries as well. And that sounds very, very harsh, and I'm sorry to be so harsh, and I hate to be like like a worst case scenario thing, but it is happening, and it's most likely to happen in the US because the system is not great in the US necessarily. So from that is really where I make it serious, and I say serious, stay away from other people, protect yourself with gloves, wash your hands. Obviously, I'm sure you came across the 20-second rule of washing your hands. Sing a song that lasts 20 seconds. Use hand sanitizers when you go out. You probably read that up already. If you have more questions, please do ask me. But it's really to be taken serious, and keep that 1 meter distance of people, and ideally stay, at home as much as possible. Obviously, if you're infected, stay home. You don't want to pass that on unwillingly. That's as well something. I had today an interesting thing where it says, instead of being worried that you catch the virus, treat your life as if you are infected and you don't want to infect others. And that's probably a very good advice, actually, to give you. So, take it really serious. Right. There are a lot of things happening in Italy and some other countries. And I know in the US, in some states, it starts that people are really, asked to stay home. They are in current quarantine, self-quarantine, or asked to stay at home, not be able to go outside. To give you an idea, my husband has been, we can go to the supermarkets, but it's only one person who can go to the supermarket per household. We should obviously avoid it as much as possible and protect ourselves, but we are not allowed to walk out anymore besides going to the supermarket or the pharmacies. By the way, if all other shops are closed, all restaurants are closed, all anything but the essential shops are closed. So we have only open food shops, I think newspaper, and pharmacies. So again, depending where you are, probably going to happen there as well. Just be prepared on that one. No need to panic buy. Essentials will be available. Okay. You will somehow get some Amazon, you know, they're trying obviously to help everybody and so on. So definitely something to think of, to be prepared, but not to panic. But you need to think about also when, you know, you're not able to walk outside anymore. My husband, as I said, he got stopped by the police. He's not allowed just to go on a walk. The problem is there would nothing be wrong and we need a walk. I mean, we need to get out in the air, we need to exercise, but the problem is people don't take it serious and then they go on parties and on the beach or whatever it is. And that's why the police or the governments have to be so strict. The only way reducing the spreading of it and slowing it down, and that's what they're going to do at the moment, is slow down so the health care system is not so overwhelmed, is the social distancing. Okay. Hi, Shalik. I mute everybody, and if you have any questions, then please keep them for later. I'm just saying that, and I'm going to get to you later. Okay. Right now, important, of course, is, you know, to be prepared for the confinement as well, and I'm going to get into that a little bit. Now, who do I see who is at risk? Now, we probably know the older population is more at risk, you know, in terms of death rates or seriously affected, is definitely the older population, but also the population who has chronic illnesses, respiratory problems, and who have, you know, any things that compromise the immune system or lower the immune system, or people who have higher inflammation and all that. So, you know, be aware of that as well. If you fall into that group, you want to be extra careful, and you want definitely to boost your immune system as well. Again, you know, as I said, it's really about slowing down the process because the healthcare system will be overwhelmed. And the issue, by the way, is also of that overwhelm that, you know, the health care system has less time for other people who have so-called normal issues, you know. They will have second place as well. So that's also important. But also, unfortunately, they see now in Europe, younger people without any illnesses seem to get affected, which is a bit a newer trend. So things change. It's an illness that mutates, by the way, as well. Apparently, unfortunately, it is not, because a lot of the flus normally get lower in summer. It seems not to be the case. So yeah, so that's a little bit in terms of risk. What I have been doing in terms of minimizing the risk of infection, I am super careful. I don't touch anything when I'm outside here. Okay, I have pieces of, I have gloves, or I have pieces of even, you know, I had to travel by plane to Germany, which I was unhappy, and my husband was unhappy. So I had obviously gloves, I had pieces of tissues with me. Whenever I had to quickly touch something, you know, I put that there. I'm constantly with hand sanitizers, washing my hands and so on. I personally don't wear a mask. I recommend a mask usually when, or I would wear it when I would be infected. Okay, but you might choose that, that's up to you. But just remember, masks are at the moment really important for those who need it, like the healthcare professionals and things like that. Just saying that also. Hand sanitizers, if they sell out, there are ways you can do your own hand sanitizer. If you're interested, let me know. I can share the recipe. I might probably put it together as well, but it's quite simple to do your own hand sanitizer. And normal soap actually is probably the best. And remember also to put some moisture on your hands, because by doing all that, suddenly your hands will get very dry, which is also not a good thing.
stay away from people, social distancing, staying at home. That's what I've been doing as much as possible. And of course, try, avoid flights. I mean, I didn't have a chance. Supermarkets, any travel, any unnecessary travel. Things like, going to the gym, going to the hairdresser or whatever, postpone it, okay, if you can. I mean, really do the strict essential. I was also asked by some, what my day-to-day life looks like. I'm used to work from home, so I'm normally pretty organized. A good idea is really, if you are working from home and you're not used to it, maybe, really have a good plan. Planning is really important. Have your routine. I get dressed in the morning. A lot of people suddenly at home spend the whole day in their pajamas or so. It's not a good idea. So do as if you're still at work. Take your breaks, schedule your lunch, your breakfast, your getting up and taking a breather. Even if you can't go out, you can still open a window and breathe, or go on your balcony or garden, depending what you have. Do your exercise, plan for that. I'm going to go into a few resources later, but make sure that you really plan for that one. And of course, emotional connection and all that, that's what I'm doing. I'm far more on the phone at the moment than before. And I'm going to go into the healthy eating and all that, but that's, that's what I'm doing. I'm super rigorous. I've never been so much on taking my supplements and all that. So that's super important. Right now, what am I doing to boost my immune system? I do a lot of things. Some things I at the moment don't get where I am. I know you would get them, and I will share that with you. Wait for me, please, a day, maybe even until Saturday. I'm putting it together, but I'm a little bit late with it. So the one thing is super important, really, and that you definitely want to write down. As I said, I will share it with you as well. I normally take a multivitamin, so I would definitely recommend that, just to cover your bases. Additionally, I take vitamin C, relatively high doses, so I take at the moment 1 to 2 grams of vitamin C. I am taking echinacea, which is an immune booster, and also elderberry. Omega-3 I take all the time, but definitely helps, with inflammation, and helps a lot your immune system, lots of functions and all that. So I would definitely recommend that. Probiotics I take every day, but at the moment I would also recommend it even more. Just as a reminder, many of you know, the immune system sits in your gut. Okay, 70% of your immune system sits in your gut. So you want optimal gut health. Right, obviously eating, but also things like probiotic-rich foods, and take an additional probiotic. Vitamin D, I'm normally not taking vitamin D because I'm not really deficient. I have a good vitamin D level, but I'm taking additionally vitamin D at the moment. And I would definitely recommend that, unless, again, and it's just a disclaimer, you have obviously to see with any supplements with your doctor. I don't know you, I don't know your conditions and so on, to make sure that it's not interacting with your condition or with whatever medication you might be taking. So just a little disclaimer here. If in doubt, please ask your doctor about that. But for me, vitamin D, I know, is very important in immune, or to boost your immune. So I'm adding on vitamin D, so I'm actually not deficient. Zinc spray or zinc lozenges, I hope I pronounce it correctly, I never get it right, is really good as well as an immune booster. And garlic, lots of fresh garlic. Okay, you might stink, but it's okay. One clove of garlic a day is definitely something. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. It's a lot. I normally don't take all that stuff, not as much, but I am rather on the safe side. It doesn't harm me. I know where I am at, and it definitely probably never had such a good immune system as at the moment. At least I don't get all the normal fluids, you see. An advantage. Now, additionally, from what I have been reading with a lot of healthcare professionals, and some of the things, as I said, I don't get, or, it's also fine. Astragalus is one thing, you get that. It's a very good herb that helps also with immune system boosting. Selenium, I have it in my multivitamin, but if you're not taking a multivitamin, you might want to add selenium to it. Magnesium has really, it's not necessarily an immune booster per se, but magnesium has is part of about 300 functions, 300 different functions in your body. So it helps a lot with boosting and absorbing and being able to cope better with other nutrients. It helps you also, by the way, to relax a lot. So I feel magnesium might be a good way. Again, should be, depending if you're deficient, but magnesium is a good thing. I haven't taken it, but I will take it now because I really struggle to sleep. With my mom going on, it's a bit going on. And of course we all struggle, there's so much going on. So I will add that to my protocol. Propolis is something, what the bees make. So that is also quite good for immune. I have read that they have done a lot of tests in China when they were at the onset with astragalus and licorice as well. I read it often. I'm not so used to licorice for this part, but it's quite helpful for the respiratory system, to boost your respiratory system. Also, they use that, by the way, kind of when you get it to, improve your symptoms. And N-acetylcysteine is as well something that they recommend there. Again, I'm not so familiar with it, but that's what I'm saying. And what I would take, and I just don't get my hands on it, is mushrooms, not the magical mushrooms, but medicinal mushrooms. Might be a good idea, mind you. But it's mushrooms, and there it's normally a immunity mushroom complex. I will share that with you, which are normally several mushrooms like reiki and shiitake and all that are helpful also with boosting your immune system. Right. Now, there are a lot of ways, obviously, you can add that in your food as well, which I always encourage. And that's probably the best way to do is eat all this. Now, vitamin C, I'm just giving you a couple of ideas. Again, I will share that. Vitamin C, lots of places you get it. Eat as much as different colors of vegetables, and fruits, yellow, green, red, blue, purple, whatever. So oranges, papaya, strawberries, kiwi, and all these leafy greens, and broccoli, bell peppers. Zinc is a lot in seafood, pumpkin seeds, sea vegetables, beans, lentils, legumes. Vitamin D, usually the sunshine, as probably most of you, it's called the sunshine vitamin. So get out in the sunshine at least 10 minutes or so. Otherwise, vitamin D in salmon and fatty fish, egg yolks, cheese. Obviously, cheese, I always say, if you tolerate that, so be careful, and mushrooms as well. Garlic is in garlic. Normally they say crush garlic and wait up to 60 seconds to enhance the formation of allicin. Allicin, I never know how to pronounce that either. Vitamin A, I actually forget that earlier. So vitamin A as well, super important. Liver, cod liver, fish, like fatty fish as well. All the beta carotene, fruits and vegetables, like, carrots and all these things, greens. Right. Cut down on sugar and any processed and empty foods, also on your alcohol intake, just saying, but we tend to drink a little bit more perhaps when we're in confinement. I love my glass of wine, but it can quickly get out of hand. Omega-3 is, of course, a lot as well in small fishes. So mackerel, sardines, what else? Salmon, you find a lot of omega-3, so eat a lot of that. And also super important to have enough protein. I know some of you are struggling with that one. So just as a matter of information, usually we should have 0.8 grams per kilogram of protein per day. That's the RDA. So maybe even up it a little bit. So between a lot of vegetables and fruits and protein and the healthy fats, and you know that I say that all the time and I repeat it, is super important. But definitely make sure you have enough protein, because the amino acids in it will help also with your detoxification process and will help you in that with your inflammation and with your immune system. I mentioned gut health, so prebiotics. Prebiotics also really good, like Jerusalem, artichokes, greens, broccoli, cabbage, and all that. All these are good for your healthy gut as well. Right. Now, what I'm also doing and recommend in terms of, in general, support, it's not, some of them have immune boosting properties, some of them have even antiviral properties, but I'm a fan of essential oils, high quality essential oils, therapeutic. Should you want to ingest them, by the way, always be sure that they are and they're safe. So in case, please do ask that. In general, it's very nice to do them in an inhalation or maybe in a bath or so. They're also calming. Some of them have calming properties, so that helps with anxiety. Just keep in mind, some of them might be a little bit rough on your skin. I feel it. So you might always mix them with a carrier oil, like olive oil or anything, just a few drops or so they're a bit softer. So check them out. Sage is really good. Lavender is obviously very good for sleep. Thyme, tea tree has antibacterial, antiviral properties. Peppermint might be a good thing. Eucalyptus is for me one of the go-to herbs for respiratory things. Cinnamon is really good as well. And oregano has also a lot of antiviral, fungal, antibacterial properties. So definitely something to go there. And like things like thyme, oregano, you can also ingest normally, provided they're therapeutic grade essential oils. And then, of course, things like additionally supporting your system, deep breathing, gym, going out in the sun as much as you can, stress management, sleep, super important. I'm not sleeping well at the moment. So that's one of my things I'm trying to work on because I feel tired. One of my clients earlier, I won't name her, just said I look tired. So, I know, and I have to be careful of that. So sleep is really super important. Right. Now, next point would be, what if you have symptoms? And Lynn already shared a little bit. One is what I do or what I would do. I hear, I'm in a country, I'm from Germany, but, I don't live here. So it was a bit more difficult for me to get through. The lines are busy. You have normally, probably in your places, you have emergency or coronavirus lines or whatever they will be called. So maybe a good idea might be to find out what to do, where to call, because I didn't know so well. And then eventually I spoke to somebody really nice here I'm in a little village. So they kind of helped me, to get on a list. So it was the health department of the municipality. So I don't know where you are, what it is, but find it out. You might get on a list to be tested, or you might want to call your doctor, your house doctor. I would usually not recommend that you rush out and go to the hospital or to your doctor. One, they probably turn you away because they're too busy. Two, you put yourself and others in risk, obviously, of infection, because you might not have it, and then by meeting too many people you might get it. So rather, try to do telephonic. What they did here, so eventually I got on that list. 2 days later, they called me. They said they will come now. I should not be scared. And they come with a car, and the lady was, putting herself into protective gear. And I had to go down to the garden door, and they had a swab. And, they took a swab in the throat and in the nose. It feels a bit strange, but it's fine. And they put everything in a bag and gave me the bag, with the protective gear, and I had to put it away, and off they went. That was a very quick, felt very surreal, I must say, very strange. I don't know, your processes are different probably, depending. They have drive-throughs now. They obviously try, to make it easy and quick and all that, but the systems are overwhelmed. If you are fine, try to stay at home. Most of it can be treated at home. Ask your doctor again for that, what you should be doing, and all that. And obviously, if you feel you need help, then obviously, yes, definitely call, the authorities, what is your number? I don't remember what your number is. Each country, it is different, but your emergency number also. So obviously, hopefully not, but there are a lot of things you can do. So your doctor will be able to help you on that. For me, what I would do, and I have to be very careful on here what I'm saying, of course, but what I would do for myself is I will definitely, and I have plenty of here. My mom has a hoard of teas, and she has a hoard of cough teas, with herbal teas and all that. I go to herbs. I use a lot of herbs myself. The essential oils I mentioned earlier are definitely something I will use here as well. I might be, if I would be in that case, I might be use also fever lowering herbs. Around that is something I would definitely check with your doctor. You don't want to have counteraction if that's something you want to do. So to be careful, but I personally would try as much as possible support my system with natural ways also in that one, maybe Chinese medicine or so. Right. The other thing I have in place, and I do that also whenever I have a cold, a flu or so, is having humidifiers or breathing with essential oils. So I have a simple thing I do. I have a bowl with hot water, boiling water, and I put a bit of essential oils and I breathe them like this. Or you might have a humidifier. Oregano, olive leaf extract is also something that's calming. And again, garlic is also really helpful when you have acute infection. White willow bark is a herb which is actually part of the aspirin. So that might be something. And then one thing I just wanted to mention is in general also you want to look not only immune boosting and things like that, but you also want to support your emotional health a lot. So there are, of course, a lot of things like stress management techniques, sleep, meditation. We've done earlier the peace process already, but you might also want to have some calming herbs, like I mentioned, lavender, or maybe some calming teas with some herbs or so. You might want to, obviously go outside, do some yoga or whatever it is. I know Deborah has a lot of things there as well. She normally does. So there are a lot of things. There will be a lot online. So check it out, what's online. There's really a lot. There might be things like GABA is something that helps a lot with anxiety it helps with your neurotransmitters. I mentioned that, or tryptophan as well. They help definitely with these areas. So you might look into that one as well. We will all be anxious and having to deal with things. So, get the support in there. Right, now I'm almost, I know it's a lot of information. I hope you're bearing with me. I'm sorry I'm going through all this, giving you all that. As I mentioned, going forward, we have to think long term. Some people say, I read today that, the pandemic will last for 2 years. I hear they will say we will be like in quarantine confinement state for 3 to 4 months or so. Some say that, it depends. I don't know. Nobody knows. It depends on how people will react with it, actually. So it's definitely something we need to be ready. So we have to think, obviously, forward already. And that's what I'm doing. So today you are very lucky to be with me because what I'm going to look to help you to stay healthy and continue with. You all are here with weight issues, more or less, or emotional eating, more or less, or whatever around there, because that is something, just being at home all the time, or being much more home, let's say, and not being able to go out. The socializing aspect, of course, will be there, that we socialize less, we move less. So, one is the mental health, and two is, of course, obesity, or weight gain as the next crisis. And that's what I'm worried about, and that's what I'm really trying to help people to avoid, okay, to get there. So there's definitely something. So in there, eating super healthy, not getting into it, having a plan, not getting into eating the chips or whatever, the chocolate or whatever that is super, super, super important. So it's definitely around there. Avoid the news, and have fixed times for news. Maybe say, only watch the news in the lunchtime, maybe not necessarily first thing in the morning, last thing in the evening. And that's note to myself on it. Very guilty of that. So yeah. Telehealth. So, I'm helping you, but you might need more help. Perhaps I know one of my clients, Marianne, she has a personal trainer here, and he works online with her. There are, wait, where did I note that? God, I have so many notes, you have no idea. Okay, I have actually started with that before already. Daily Burn, so daily and burn like burning, is a program I signed up. They have a 30-day free. Sign up for it. You can use it. They have really great workouts, they have even a bit of yoga, but they have like with weight, without weight, 5 minutes to 1 hour, whatever. So you can, do the setting. I absolutely love it. I tried it already before, and I re-signed up now because, moving to Italy, I wanted to go to gym, but obviously that falls a little bit down at the moment. And the other one I used before is Gaia, Gaia. They're merged with another company. I just can't remember now what they are called. But if you type Gaia yoga or something, I'm sure you'll find them. And I'll try and share with you the link as well. And they have yoga, a really, really good yoga and Pilates, and also a bit of meditation there. Very spiritual and all that. Really great. I have been subscribed to them 2-3 years when I was in Miami, actually, because I didn't go to a gym there. So find something, find support. Obviously, stay in contact with loved ones, friends. Have a system that, maybe, have online games with your friends. You're all going to be in confinement, so organize that you all have Skype or whatever you're going to use, online games, Pictionary, I don't know, whatever. Fun activities. Take up a new hobby. Maybe you wanted to learn something. Take the time. We will slow down. A lot of people will lose their jobs, or they will have less work, depending, or whatever it is. So we have to be ready for that one. So, get yourself occupied, dance, listen to music, plan your routine, and have a purpose. Very important as well, because that helps, of course, with emotional eating. Right, now I think I'm there. Perhaps last words on it. I'm a little bit pragmatic. I believe, that there's always a silver lining. So try and find the silver lining. I personally believe that the world is there, to do its own work. And I believe the world needs rest. We need rest. Our lives have been spiraling out. Obviously, we know all about, gosh, now I'm losing my words. I've been talking too much. Our whole nature and all that. So, you see already, for example, the pollution over China has drastically gone down. I know in Milano as well. It will probably happen in the US as well. So we need rest. The world needs rest. The nature needs rest. So take it as something, maybe it's time for you to start something new. So take that time. The world will slow down, and it will be getting probably much worse. So look for the good things in it, working online, maybe you can find something. Also, I discussed that earlier with Marianne, and she's helping a lot of other people already. But maybe, for you, it might be even paying it forward more, but online, right? Maybe you can help others online. Maybe you can help the elder people, perhaps just drop something or something like that, and practice some gratitude as well. Right. So that was that was my wisdom. I